Are we seriously witnessing this again? What should have been a memorable and celebrated night for women's basketball turned into a major disappointment. The Indiana Fever suffered a heartbreaking 90-88 loss to the Golden State Valkyries, but the final score barely explains what really happened. This was a game where remarkable individual performances and historic moments should have been the main story, yet they were completely overshadowed by costly mistakes, poor decision-making, and a series of errors that changed the outcome. Instead of leaving with a signature victory, the Fever walked away from the Chase Center with a frustrating defeat that felt entirely preventable, leaving fans questioning how such an important opportunity slipped away. Before discussing everything that went wrong, it is important to recognize the historic achievement that took place. Despite the loss, Caitlin Clark delivered another milestone performance that deserves national attention. During the first half, she recorded the 500th assist of her WNBA career, but the significance goes far beyond that number alone. With that accomplishment, Clark became the fastest player in league history to reach both 1,000 career points and 500 career assists. What makes this achievement so remarkable is the speed at which she reached it, just 59 games. That is an extraordinary pace that highlights her impact on the game and further separates her from many of the league's greatest players. Regardless of the final result, Clark added another historic chapter to her career, proving once again that she continues to redefine expectations every time she steps onto the court. The achievement becomes even more impressive when compared to some of the biggest names in WNBA history. Sue Bird, widely regarded as one of the greatest point guards ever, reached the same milestone in 82 games. Sabrina Ionescu, known for her all-around brilliance and triple-double performances, needed 84 games. Hall of Famer Dawn Staley took 101 games to accomplish it. Caitlin Clark reached that mark in only 59 games, putting her far ahead of some of the most respected players the sport has ever seen. Reaching 1,000 points and 500 assists at such an incredible pace is not just another statistic. It is a historic accomplishment that highlights her unique impact on the game and places her among the most remarkable
for the Fever. Caitlin Clark did make history tonight. We gonna talk about it, man, in an iconic fashion. She ended up making her 500 assists to Sophie Cunningham, but the referees is still in the show. Just ultimately still in
The speed at which Caitlin Clark continues to reach historic milestones is unlike anything the WNBA has seen before. She became the first player in league history to record multiple games with at least 30 points and 10 assists in the same season. A remarkable achievement considering the constant defensive attention she faces every night. Opposing teams build entire game plans around slowing her down, yet she continues to produce at an elite level. In this matchup, Clark finished with 16 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, and 3 steals while battling intense pressure throughout the game. However, the mood changed dramatically after halftime. What started as a night that should have celebrated another historic performance quickly turned into a frustrating experience. As the second half unfolded, tensions rose, emotions boiled over, and Clark's visible frustration became impossible to ignore as several controversial moments left players and fans questioning what was happening on the court. It was easy to understand why Clark became so frustrated as the game progressed. Several times in the second half, she attacked the basket aggressively and appeared to absorb significant contact without receiving the foul calls she and many fans expected. Her frustration was clear as she repeatedly voiced her concerns to the officials, looking for more consistency in how the game was being called. The tension eventually reached a breaking point when she was assessed a technical foul after reacting to a play where she believed she had been fouled on a drive to the basket. In a game decided by just 2 points, that moment became a major talking point, as the resulting free throws proved costly for Indiana. Clark was perfect from the free throw line, converting all 8 of her attempts, which only added to the debate about whether she should have had more opportunities at the stripe considering how often she attacked the paint and challenged the defense throughout the night. Many fans felt that Clark endured far more physical contact than the number of free throw opportunities reflected. Throughout the game, she repeatedly attacked the basket, absorbed heavy defensive pressure, and often found herself battling through contact without hearing the whistle. The situation only added to growing concerns among supporters who believe she has faced unusually physical defense throughout the season. However, while the officiating became a major topic of discussion, attention also shifted to Indiana's performance on the sidelines. Questions quickly emerged about the coaching decisions that influenced the outcome of such a tightly contested game. Several lineup changes and rotation choices appeared to disrupt the team's rhythm, making it difficult for the Fever to maintain offensive consistency when they needed it most. In a game where every possession mattered,
24 fouls called on the fucking Fever tonight. Excuse my language, bro. 19 calls were now 20 on Golden State. I'm furious right now, bro, because that's how bad this game has been. Stephanie White, put Caitlin on the ball. Stephanie White, put Caitlin off the ball. Like, damn, Stephanie, make up your mind. Did Caitlin Clark set majority of the damn third quarter? This was just buffoonery.
One of the biggest frustrations came from the way Caitlin Clark was utilized throughout the game. At times, she was controlling the offense, setting the tempo, creating opportunities for teammates, and putting constant pressure on the defense. Then, without much explanation, her role seemed to change, leaving her off the ball for extended stretches while the offense lost rhythm and became far less effective. The decision that drew the strongest reaction, however, was the amount of time Clark spent on the bench during a critical stretch of the third quarter. Many fans struggled to understand why a player who serves as the team's primary offensive creator and had already delivered another historic performance was not on the floor more consistently during such an important part of the game. In a matchup decided by the smallest of margins, those coaching decisions became a major source of debate and frustration after the final buzzer. Many observers felt that these decisions prevented Clark from ever settling into a consistent rhythm offensively. Instead of being allowed to stay engaged and build momentum throughout the game, she was frequently forced to adjust to changing roles and
I'm hella mad. Look at this. How the hell can we win when they look at this flop? You ain't even get hit. She ain't even get hit in the head, dog. She ain't even get hit in the head. Y'all see this? Bro, this has been all day. Bro.
The questions surrounding the coaching decisions extended far beyond Caitlin Clark's role. Many fans were equally puzzled by the rotation choices and the limited use of available depth. Several players who could have provided fresh energy, size, defense, or versatility never saw the court. Grace Van Slooten, who was brought in to strengthen the front court and add athleticism, did not play. Tierra Harris also remained on the bench, as did Damiris Dantas, with all three receiving coaches' decisions not to play. In a physical road game that was ultimately decided by just 2 points, the Fever relied on a short rotation while leaving multiple capable contributors unused. Considering the roster moves made to improve depth and flexibility, many observers felt those resources could have been valuable in helping the team match the intensity of the game and potentially change the outcome during key moments. After every close Indiana Fever loss, the same question seemed to surface about the players who remained on the bench and whether they could have provided the spark needed to change the game. With such a narrow margin separating the two teams, many fans were left wondering if additional depth and fresh legs could have made a difference during key stretches. At the same time, the Golden State Valkyries executed a highly physical defensive game plan that consistently challenged the Fever offense. Veronica Burton played a major role in that effort, applying relentless pressure on Caitlin Clark throughout the night. She stayed attached.
Look at this.
This
bro.
Will be an official review for...
Hit her all in the face. Veronica Burton been on one all game with Caitlin Clark. All game. Veronica Burton made it her business to disrupt Caitlin and be just an asshole all game to her, bro. I can't stunt. She balled. Veronica Burton definitely balled.
Indiana's offensive struggles extended well beyond Caitlin Clark. Kelsey Mitchell logged more than 30 minutes, but had difficulty finding consistent efficiency, finishing with 14 points on 5 of 13 shooting. Several possessions ended with tough drives into heavy traffic, allowing the Valkyries' interior defense to contest and disrupt scoring opportunities. Sophie Cunningham, who made history as the recipient of Clark's 500th career assist, also battled through a challenging shooting night. She scored 11 points in nearly 25 minutes, but connected on just 4 of 11 field goal attempts and 1 of 7 shots from beyond the arc. Aaliyah Boston continued to make an impact with her all-around effort, contributing 6 rebounds and 4 assists while competing hard on both ends of the floor. However, the Fever as a whole struggled to establish offensive consistency, and the lack of efficient scoring from several key contributors made it difficult to overcome a physical and determined Valkyries team in such a closely contested game. Aaliyah Boston continued to battle throughout the game, finishing with 13 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists, but she also faced challenges offensively, shooting 4 of 11 from the field. In fact, much of the Fever's starting lineup struggled to find a consistent rhythm, making it difficult for the team to generate reliable scoring when it mattered most. Despite those challenges, one player stood out.
Clocks, man, my goodness, man. Now I got to talk about Raven Johnson. Career game, man. 16 points, 7 to 10 from the field, just outstanding. She shot 90% from 3. Now it's a 2-point game. Come on, Kelsey Mitchell.
While many of Indiana's key players struggled to find consistency, Raven Johnson emerged as the biggest positive story of the night. The rookie delivered an outstanding performance, scoring 16 points on an impressive 7 of 10 shooting from the field while also knocking down 2 of her 3 attempts from beyond the arc. Her efficiency, confidence, and energy stood out at a time when the Fever desperately needed offensive production. In fact, she was arguably the team's most effective scorer throughout the game, providing a spark whenever she was on the floor and finishing with the best plus-minus rating on the roster. Her contributions played a major role in keeping Indiana competitive until the final moments. What made her performance even more noteworthy was the fact that she saw limited action early in the game, leaving many fans wondering whether a larger role sooner could have helped the Fever find momentum and potentially change the outcome of a contest that was ultimately decided by just 2 points. Despite Raven Johnson's outstanding performance, the game ultimately came down to the final possession. Indiana trailed 90-88 with only seconds remaining, and the pressure inside the arena was at its highest point. The Fever had one last opportunity to either tie the game or steal a dramatic victory. In moments like these, execution becomes everything, and every decision carries enormous importance. As the clock wound down, the play never seemed to develop as smoothly as Indiana had hoped. The offensive spacing appeared disorganized, forcing players to improvise under intense pressure. Aaliyah Boston eventually attacked the basket in an effort to create a scoring chance, battling through heavy defensive traffic as she drove toward the rim. Contact occurred on the play, but no foul was called, allowing the action to continue and leaving players and fans with plenty to debate after the final buzzer sounded. Pure silence. No whistle. The referees, who had been blowing their whistles loudly and aggressively all night long, who had called 24 fouls on the Indiana Fever, suddenly swallowed their whistles when the game was literally hanging in the balance. But as furious as we should be at the officials for that missed call, the biggest, most unforgivable failure of the final possession was not the referee. It was Stephanie White. As the final seconds rapidly melted away off the clock, as her players looked visibly frantic, confused, and trapped in a horribly broken play, Stephanie White stood entirely frozen on the sideline like a deer caught in the headlights. She had a timeout safely tucked away in her pocket. She had the power.
Oh my God, bro. Correlation said, I just don't understand how Steph watched that possession and didn't call a timeout earlier. I'm so annoyed. I absolutely despise the last possession. I'm just shaking my head. Stephanie White completely. Let's see. Let's see this last possession, guys.
With only half a second remaining, Indiana was left with a difficult, rushed final shot attempt that never truly had a chance to change the outcome. When the buzzer sounded, the Fever were forced to walk away with a heartbreaking 90-88 loss. The night will ultimately be remembered for 2 very different reasons. On one hand, Caitlin Clark achieved a remarkable milestone, becoming the fastest player in WNBA history to reach 1,000 career points and 500 assists, surpassing some of the greatest names the league has ever seen. It is a historic accomplishment that deserves recognition and celebration. On the other hand, the game itself was filled with frustration, as Clark finished 3 of 12 from the field, committed 5 turnovers, and received a technical foul during a highly emotional contest. Questions about officiating, late-game execution, and rotation decisions only added to the disappointment. Despite the loss, one major positive emerged in Raven Johnson, who delivered an outstanding performance and showed the potential to become a larger part of the team's future plans. As the Fever move into a crucial stretch of the season, every game will carry significant importance for both playoff hopes and team confidence, making the response to this tough defeat one of the biggest storylines to watch moving forward. As the Fever move forward, every game, coaching decision, lineup adjustment, and key moment will face even greater scrutiny. This loss raised important questions, but it also highlighted a historic achievement that deserves recognition. Caitlin Clark's record-setting milestone will be remembered for years, yet the disappointment of a close defeat has sparked intense debate among fans about what should receive the most attention. Was the historic accomplishment the defining story of the night, or did the loss overshadow everything else? Discussions about officiating, late-game decisions, player rotations, and the overall direction of the team are only growing louder. One thing is certain: Indiana continues to find itself at the center of some of the biggest conversations in the WNBA. With critical games ahead and playoff positioning becoming increasingly important, all eyes will be on how the Fever respond and whether they can turn these hard-fought but frustrating losses into valuable lessons for the remainder of the season.